Joining me today is New Hampshire Representative Paul Henle. And Paul, we spent the whole segment talking on visibility on the taxes. Did we get through all of them?
We got through most of them. You know, there's a couple that I'm not going to tell you about because we don't want you to know about them. But the whole point is, an income tax, everybody would know they're paying an income tax. They'd see it out of their paycheck. They would know what the rate was. And every 2 years, they'd go beat on the guys running for the legislature and say, what the heck are you going to do about the income tax rate? Nothing, we couldn't raise it secretly in the middle of the night the way we do a lot of taxes without people knowing about it. So highly visible. Let's get on to flexibility.
Yeah, so the flexibility component.
Right now, all these taxes I read out, business taxes, they're all maxed out. My proposal was completely revenue neutral. It was not a spending bill. It had nothing to do with the amount of money we spend. It just had to do with how we raise. But, and I'm not an advocate for more spending, but if we did need to spend more money, if we got sued by somebody,
which has happened in the past.
Could happen, they're lining up, and or there was a crisis or something broke, or we had to do this, or we had to raise $250 million or $500 million, we could not do it. We absolutely could not do it. There's no tax.
With the current structure
With the current structure. Business taxes are close to the highest in the nation. Rooms and meals, 9%. Everything. We're maxed out. We don't have the flexibility we need. And that's not good. That's not healthy. There's going to be a crisis and we're going to have to do something, I don't know what. So that's another reason why I proposed my bill.
So the idea is that if we were in trouble and the state needed additional sources of revenue, it could raise the tax from 3.95%, which was in your bill, to 4.25% or 5.1% or whatever the number needed to be mathematically.
That's the benefit of a broad-based tax, if I can use that dirty word. The base is broad. A small increase in the rate gets you, a good chunk of change. And everybody pays it.
Right. So when I think about the income tax, one of the other things is it's a little bit like the property transfer tax. In good times, people's incomes go up. There are more people in the state with more jobs, and the state has more revenue. And so if I were devil's advocate here, I'd say, well, that your spending will go up with the revenue, but then we're going to hit a different business cycle, and that's going to go down, and the state either has to cut spending or increase taxes.
Yes, well, that's true of any tax. The business taxes were very volatile in the last recession. Steep drop in the business taxes, real estate transfer tax, I&D tax. All taxes are dependent upon the economy. That's why we have the rainy day fund, and that's why we're all pleased that it's pretty flush right now. We're like all of us. When times are good, we try to put a little money away because we all know times won't always be good.
And are you worried that tension's going to be there, or do you think the visibility will force legislatures to say, well, our bias better be on cuts rather than tax increases?
New Hampshire is an extremely frugal state. We've always been. It's in our DNA. We're I believe, one of the most frugal states in the nation, and that's not ever going to change. We're always going to be, looking to save every nickel and every dime. One of the arguments against an income tax is the camel's nose under the tent, or whatever you want to call it. That soon as, look at Connecticut, look at New Jersey, as soon as they got an income tax, it just went up and up and up, and they spend.
And people will say their other taxes won't go down.
Well, we're always trying to do that. So, but that's not us. That's not going to happen here because we're just not going to spend like that. We don't spend like that. And I would argue that actually, because of the visibility factor, an income tax is even more difficult to raise. I mean, the taxes we raise have been the business enterprise tax, we raised rooms and meals tax, and we do them, lots of times we do them in the last minute. Lots of most of the times, I haven't done research here either, but I bet most of the tax increases have occurred in the conference committee over the budget, which is on the last day of a 6-month session of the legislature.
So there's not a lot of time for testimony.
There's not a lot of time for testimony, and there's not a lot of time for people to even know that these taxes are being raised. But they get raised at the last minute because there's no other way to balance the budget.
We got about 15 seconds left. Do you think we will see an income tax in the next 5 years?
We'll see an income tax. We may.
I mean, I know you believe that's the fairest way to, or a fair or
a good way to go.
policy
Well, a lot of people
forward.
like a sales tax. You know, there will need to be a change, whether it's in 5 years or 10 years. There will need to be a change. Most likely, it'll take a crisis. You know, that's too bad, because when the crisis comes and we have to make the change, it'll happen in a hurry without a lot of thought. You know, it'd be nicer if we could take a deep breath, look at it, have some testimony, get together. I'm hopeful. There's a bill that we passed in the House. It's going to go to the Senate, HB 489, that is setting up a commission to look at our tax structure.
Paul, I got to stop you here.
Oh, I see.
But when we return, we're going to talk about the future of New Hampshire taxes. So please stay with us.